for this. So the next question is really my only question, and then I have a list of a bunch of small questions that students have been asking. But my next question is the big one, where we can really dive in for several minutes or however long you want.
Yeah.
Why should young people be taking this seriously? And how should they be taking it seriously, especially given that they are often getting mixed messages from media, from government, from parents, from teachers, from friends? So the question was, why should they take it seriously? And what does that look like? How should they?
Absolutely. There's so many reasons for taking this seriously. Let's make one really simple one first of all. Now, it's true that the more illnesses someone has, the more likely they are to be severely affected by this COVID-19 disease. And it's also true that if I get this disease and you get this disease, I'm much more likely to get a serious disease than you and much more likely to die. But young people can get this disease. They do get this disease, and they can get it seriously. So there are tragic cases of young people that have died of this disease. So in my country, I know of a 15-year-old and a 19-year-old that were previously healthy, have got this disease, and tragically, they're no longer with us. So self-interest is one good reason. You are not immune because you're young. You'll catch the disease at the same rate as anyone else. Everyone catches the disease. It's a virus. It just goes into the eyes. It goes into the mouth. It goes into the nose, down into the lungs. Everyone can get it, but young people tend to get it less severely. Young people are less likely to die. But in medicine, there's never any guarantees. You could get this disease and you could die. Now, having said that, I don't want to freak you out because your chances of dying are remarkably low. So, for example, if you're a teenager watching this, your chances of dying are about 0.02%. About 2 or 3 in thousands would possibly die from it. In my age group, my chances of dying are 3.6%. So I'm about a couple hundred times more likely to die from it than you are. But the key thing is the virus spreads from person to person. This is a virus. No one can see it. It's way smaller than a bacterium. It's the smallest infectious thing really that we know of, apart from a few rogue proteins, but it's a really tiny thing. And it's going everywhere at the moment. We have now what we call a pandemic. So you've probably heard of an epidemic where there's an outbreak in a particular area. This is a pandemic. Pan means everywhere. This is global. And what this means is this is a fight that all humanity is in. So if you're a member of the human race, you are enlisted in this fight, basically, whether you like it or not, because this is humanity v. the virus. Now, make no mistake, this virus is the enemy, and the enemy is trying to kill us. And in fact, it has already killed quite a lot of us. This is a wartime situation. It's absolutely serious. And the key thing is, even if you don't get a bad disease, if you're out socializing with your friends, or you're out walking with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, or you're in a class or something, you get this virus, then there's maybe something like a 50% chance that you won't get any symptoms at all. And there's an 80-90% chance you'll get a very, very mild disease. In fact, there's only a few percent chance you're going to get really quite sick with it. So you might be okay. And I can never guarantee that. As we've said, there is a chance. But the key thing is you will take it home to your household. So your brothers and sisters can catch it. And there's an off chance that they might get a serious disease. Or if you've been out with your friends and you had it, you can give it to them. Or they can give it to you. Or if you take it home and you've got a parent or 2 parents at home, then you can give it to them. Even bigger risk is if you come into contact with older people, you can give it to them. And there's a real chance that they're going to die of this. Now, you've probably seen a game called Russian Roulette. It's on Rambo movies. And you put one bullet in the chamber and you spin the chamber and you pull it and see if it clicks. Now, that's putting your own life at risk. For you, there's a very small chance of that. But would you put one bullet in the chamber, spin it, point it at your granddad's brain, and then pull that trigger to see if it clicked or not? Because that's what you're doing. You're playing Russian roulette with people's lives, and we have to move forward in this together. The whole point about being a social animal like you are, the whole point about interacting with others is we look after weaker people. This is what a civilization is. You can gauge the quality of a civilization by how it looks after its weakest members. And let me tell you, I'm one of the weaker members because I'm older. You're one of the stronger members because you're younger. But I'd rather stick around for another couple of years and make some more videos. I don't want to die just yet if I can avoid it. If I have to, I have to. But I don't have to die of this because people can be careful. So what we have to do is realize that my health depends on everyone else. Your health depends on everyone else because this is contagious. It spreads around. We have to look after each other. I hope I'm going to look after you. Seth's looking after you. I hope you're going to look after me. I hope you're going to look after Seth. Look after each other. Team effort. Now, how we do this is another interesting point. Now, this virus spreads in different ways. The most common way, the easiest way for this virus to spread is when I'm breathing out some of this virus if I'm infected. If I'm coughing out even more of this virus. And if I'm sneezing, I'm coughing out lots of this virus as well and projecting it for quite a long way, maybe 20 feet away from where I am at the moment. So if I'm just talking to you and you're talking to me a normal social distance apart, then you can get that virus that I am breathing out in your mouth, in your nose, or in your eyes, and that can cause infection in you. So that's the main way it's spread. The other way it's spread is in smaller air droplets called aerosols through coughs and sneezes. And that can be, as I say, more than 6 feet away. So if you're talking to someone within 5 or 6 feet, you can still catch it. If you're 1 foot away, you're even more likely to catch it. But if you cough or sneeze, it can be 10 feet, 20 feet away that it can spread through the air, especially in stuffy environments. So if you're talking to a friend, not that we can't really talk to friends at the moment, but if you are and they're like 20, 30, 40 feet away outside, then that's much safer than being in a close, stuffy environment inside because the virus can hang in the air. So meeting people inside is the most dangerous thing.
Because
and the other thing about this virus,
stagnant.
Sorry?
Because the air is more stagnant. And
absolutely, Seth. The virus can hang in the air for a period of time. Now, there's debate about how long that time is, but it can be hours. So if you're in a very stuffy room and someone has got the virus and you're in a stuffy room with them, then the virus is much more likely to be spread. This is one reason we should keep rooms well ventilated and open the windows if someone's sick. So it's spread in that way, but mostly by these close-up droplets, but also further through the air as well. Now, when I'm breathing now, and speaking now, little droplets are coming out of my mouth. And these droplets can have the virus in them. And if I cough or sneeze, even more of these droplets with even more of the virus can come out. And what these do is they settle onto a surface. So it could be a door handle. It could be a bench. It could be a worktop. It could be anything. The viruses will settle onto that surface. And then if you touch that surface, the virus can go from that surface, and now your hand is contaminated with that virus. And then if that virus goes to your mouth, your nose, or your eyes, that can make you become infected. This is why hand washing is so absolutely vital. So watch these hand washing videos that are there and learn how to wash your hands properly. Keep your hands clean. Wash all the different parts of your hands. The videos that show you how to wash your hands. That's really important. And there's another way that this, so that's in the air is the main way.
Well, can I recap?
Contaminated surface is the second one. Go on,
so
Seth.
So I can breathe and I'm just normally breathing. I don't know that I have it because I don't have any symptoms, but the virus, I have gotten the virus in my nose, mouth, or eyes. I don't even know it. It's a week later and it's been hanging out. My body has noticed it. And I'm a young person and my body has said, oh, we're going to take care of these viruses and my body's killing them off and I'm going to be fine. But I don't know if I'm going to be fine or not. I don't even know what's going on. I barely have any symptoms. Maybe I have a little cough or a runny nose one day or a little headache.
Or maybe even not, maybe nothing.
Or nothing, but it's
quite possible
in me. It's in my body.
Absolutely.
And I'm exhaling and it's coming out, or sneezing or coughing. It's coming out of me. And my phone's on the table and it's heavy. I remember you saying it was heavy. And the virus lands, you said settles. The virus eventually lands on my phone or my table or wherever. You can't see it or anything.
No.
It says, hey, can I use your phone? Hand in my phone,
Absolutely. These are filthy things. Keep them clean. Always wipe them with antiseptic wipes.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And just in normal speech, the virus can spread between 3 and 6 feet between individuals.
Literally right now, as you and I are talking,
Yep.
we don't even see the air because
Yep.
first of all, the droplets in our air right now are so small, but the virus is even smaller than the droplets coming out of my
Absolutely.
breathing or your breathing.
Ab-
Like so much smaller, it's incomprehensible.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Seth is 100% right on that. So this is an invisible enemy. This is why it's so dangerous. Can you imagine fighting the invisible man? You know, he's got a bit of an edge on you, and this is kind of the situation we're in. Now, there's a third way that this can spread that not many people know about, and it can spread in stools. That's when you go to the toilet for a poo. So the virus is excreted in your poo. Then when you flush the toilet, it can flush up into the air. And that means that toilets can be very dirty places, especially if they're shared toilets like public toilets.
And when
So
you
you have to
say
really be
go
careful
up
to wash your
into
hands
the
after
air,
that. Hmm?
again, it's invisible when it
Yeah,
goes up into the air. It's not like it's a normal flushing of the toilet. We don't see anything.
that's
It
right.
appears to go all down the toilet, but it's aerosolized. It and we need
Yeah,
to understand that this is happening.
yeah.
Okay.
And people have done this. They did a lot of studies on this in China where they went into toilets, they took samples from the surface, and they found the virus there. And it can hang around on those surfaces for about 3 days as well. So even if someone had used that toilet a couple of days before who had the virus, you've still got a risk of catching it from your hands as long as you're not, you have to be really careful. Get your hands clean, and then when you leave the toilet, use the tissue that you dried your hands with to open the toilet door if you can. Got to be thinking about these hygiene things all the time. So that's how it spreads. So really what we
Okay.
have to do to
Can I
stop it
interrupt
being
you?
spread is to make sure we're not close to people. We need to be physically separated for a period of time.
And I guess I'm sort of backtracking on this question, but do I remember you saying that a virus is not even alive?
That's a really good question, Seth. So
And
we
then
have
the
a
follow-up to that is after 3 days, did it die? Did it lose activity? What happened in those
yeah. This particular virus has got what you call genetic material right in the middle of it. RNA. It's got a strand of RNA in the middle of it. That's surrounded by a bit of protein. That's surrounded by a fatty bit. Now, when it goes onto a surface, the proteins will actually degrade over a period of time. And that will mean that the RNA in the virus is no longer viable. Now, we can't really say that viruses are alive. So I'm alive, dogs are alive, plants are alive, even bacteria are alive because they can divide and reproduce on their own. So theoretically, you could drop a couple of bacteria off on Mars, come back in a billion years' time, and they'd still be there because they can, as long as there's something for them to eat and drink, they can reproduce themselves. Viruses can't. Viruses are absolute parasites. They only reproduce inside living cells. They can't make their own energy. So they're not really alive. They're just this chemical machine. They're scallywags. They're fiendishly clever, fiendishly complicated, but actually not really alive because they
So
can't make their own energy. In a sense, really, a virus only comes alive when it's inside one of your cells, infecting your cells. It takes over your cell's energy, and then it kind of becomes alive while it's reproducing itself inside your cells. So the answer to the question, Seth, is that the viruses will actually, in a sense, decompose over a period of a few days. Just like if you leave a piece of meat on a bench, it's going to go off in a few days. It's much the same as that. The proteins will degrade, but it's not really alive. So we're almost fighting a zombie enemy here. This is an attack of invisible zombies.
so in a way, that's good news based on the where you were getting to in the discussion before I interrupted you, because the social distancing means that if we have enough of it, they just will not be able
Absolutely.
to
The only way this virus can spread is in living cells, your living cells. So the virus will get into a living cell, it will infect that cell, it will reproduce inside that cell, it will give out billions of copies of itself, and then we will cough those out onto the next person. But over the course of about a week, if you're infected, you'll make immunity to that virus. These are called antibodies. They are the defense mechanism of the body. And then your body will eradicate that virus. It will go away completely. Now, if that virus has not had the time to skip to one of your friends in that time, then that is that line of the virus dead, gone, finished. So if everyone did this, if everyone isolated, then the virus would be in people that were infected now, but then these people that are infected now would eradicate the virus. A few of them would die, unfortunately, and the virus would die with them. So if we could stop that virus from spreading, then this disease would go away completely in just a few weeks. If we could stop all of the spread of this virus. And that's what we have to do. We have to reduce our social distancing so we stop this virus from spreading, and then it will die all of its own. Now, that's not going to happen. It sounds good in theory, but it's not really going to happen. This virus is going to go on spreading. So we're going to have to be doing this for some time. But the more we can reduce the way this virus spreads, the less people will get it at any particular time. Because if lots of people get this virus all at the same time, then over a population, about 16% will get really fairly sick with this virus. And about 5 or 6% will get critical. That means they are not going to make it unless they get pretty advanced medical treatment. So the big cheese in my country just now, Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of England, he is in an intensive care unit because he's ill. He's in this 16%. We're getting towards this 5 or 6% of people that are critical. Now, that's okay. He's getting oxygen, he's getting treatment, and hopefully he'll pull through. God willing, he'll pull through this. But suppose 10 million people got sick all at the same time, or 100 million people got sick all at the same time, as could happen because the virus can double. The amount of people infected with this virus can double every 3-4 days if we let it. Then that means that if you've got 10 million people and 16% of them get sick, that's going to be like a huge number. And we just don't have enough hospital places to treat all these people all at the same time. And if they don't get hospital treatment, that means a lot of them are going to die. It's as simple as that. So what this means is by spreading the virus, if I spread the virus, other people might die. It really is that simple. This is like a war situation. Now, I don't know if you were brought up on war stories. When I was a kid, it was after the Second World War and people were brought up on war stories. And that generation were called out to go and fight, to save lives by fighting, to rescue the world from the tyranny that was there. You're called to save lives by staying at home. You're called to save lives by not seeing your girlfriend, by not seeing your boyfriend. You're called to save lives by not sneaking out with your mates, your friends. You're called to save lives by not going to a party. That's all you got to do. Now, I'm not saying that's easy, but it's easier than someone shooting at you. Every generation has its challenge. And this is the challenge of your generation. The challenge of your generation is to maintain social distance for a period of time. And then, hey, when we get back together, it's going to be all the much more fun when we can. But for now, we can't. For now, this is dead serious. People's lives depend on your behavior. It is that simple. Don't let us down, guys.